Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Golden Goal Fantasy Football Podcast. My name's Tom. Usually I'm joined by a good mate of mine, Sam. Unfortunately, he's had a really busy week of work this week, so he's away for this one, but hopefully getting back next week, so it's the two of us. But for now, I'm afraid it's just me. Just a quick one today. Going to take you through my team, how I'm getting on in the full season game, go through some stats, some Twitter questions, and then I should wrap things up quite nicely. So let's get right into it. First up, I've got my Gameweek 9 team selection on the screen right now. I've still got my pre-World Cup, my one wild card in hand pre-World Cup. So I've got Nick Pope in goal, Cancelo, Trippier, Saliba, Salah, Maddison, Martinelli, Bowen, Tony, Mitrovic and Haaland. Then a bench of Johnston, Guehi, Gibbs-White and Perraud from Southampton. Two transfers that I made this week. I had Kulusevski in my team as well as Eric Dyer. And in order to facilitate bringing in Maddison, I had to downgrade Dyer to Guehi and upgrade Kulusevski to Maddison. I just don't think you can ignore Maddison with the fixture run that he's got. And I expect his ownership to absolutely skyrocket this week. So yeah, really happy to have him in my team. And yeah, very glad I haven't had to use my wild card yet. I think it's really happy with my team. I think if I were to actually play the wild card this week, the team that I'd pick on the wild card wouldn't be too far off this. The only player this week I'd say I'm a little bit worried about is Saliba. I think Tottenham are going to score in that game, but yeah, looking at my bench, I think maybe Gibbs-White is probably a better pick. Might well start with him. Still obviously to decide that final team selection, but this is where I'm at the moment. And also on captaincy as well, you'll see the results of the Golden Goal poll on another page that I'll show. But at the moment it's on Haaland. But yeah, I'm thinking I could go with Salah. I just got a feeling about Liverpool this week. I think they'll keep a clean sheet. Brighton have got a new manager. Liverpool really need to pull their finger out if they stand any chance of, getting top four this season, really. They've not looked particularly good to start. I think the international break will give them a good chance to, collect themselves, regroup, and go again up until the World Cup. And I think the likes of Salah are going to be absolutely bang up for it. And I expect him to play every game, pretty much 90 minutes as well. So, yeah, tough one between Salah and Haaland. Another argument in favour of Salah is that I'm a Man United fan, right? So I'm a biased man, but I just have a feeling about United against City. I just think the styles that the two clubs play with, I think, complement, is that the right word? They lead to Man United doing particularly well. And I also think, we saw last year in the Champions League, that Martinez can do a job on Haaland. Now, I'm not suggesting that he's going to keep Haaland quiet, definitely, this game. But he has been in the past very, very good against Haaland. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see how he does against United. I'm sort of 50-50 between, really, Haaland and Salah. But yeah, that's enough about my team. I think the next couple of things I'd show, and a little plug for FPL Salah, who I believe has just been verified on Twitter as well. So we've got some scoring and clean sheets probability here. Now I look at these stats from Salah every week, and if you don't, as a viewer of the Golden Goal channel, I would absolutely recommend that you follow Salah on Twitter, because not only does he put out these percentages, but he's genuinely one of the best FPL players in the world, and there are a number of other lots of content that he puts out that's really useful. And these odds, I believe, come from a website called DraftHound, and they essentially apply the same sorts of football maths that bookies do to their odds. So basically, it's the most advanced statistical data analysis based odds that you can get. So at the moment, he's got Haaland as the top goal scorer any time this week. And he's at 61%, which in my mind says he's more likely than not to score. And these sorts of things obviously factor into your captaincy decisions. Obviously, the difference between him and Salah is about 16%. And given that I think that's slightly affected by the fact that Salah hasn't had the best start to the season, and also just Liverpool as a whole haven't looked very good, whereas Haaland has been absolutely exceptional. Man City have been clearly the best team. Well, obviously Arsenal are top at the moment, I believe, but I just feel like Man City are the best team in the league. So I think that's all factored into giving Haaland that percentage, but I still think it's close, and you can look for yourself at the other players in there. And then we've got the clean sheet probability. Liverpool top of that list at the moment. I'd imagine if they played this fixture this time last season, that number would be quite a bit greater than 50%. But I think that's been brought down a little bit just because of their poor performances defensively to start. But they're top of the list for a clean sheet. And you can see the rest of the teams there as well. I just think it's really useful to look at these. It might help you with some benching decisions, some transfers decisions, and you ultimately who you pick as your captain for Game Week 9. So they're on screen, and absolutely recommend following Salah on Twitter. And then just something that we put out on the Golden Goal account this week was our captain poll. So every week, either Sam or I will put a captaincy poll out on the Golden Goal Twitter account. You can follow that account on the @ above my head over there. Golden Goal FF on Twitter. Give us a follow. And you'll see a captaincy poll every week. And the resounding overall choice this week is Haaland at 63%. We had a couple suggestions for Maddison as well. But yeah, those four and, five, because we've got Son/Kane as an option. But yeah, those guys plus Maddison were the picks for this week, with Haaland being the overall biggest percentage. Again, I've seen all these numbers, and my gut, I don't have any. We've seen all the statistical analysis. Everyone's picking. Well, the majority are picking Haaland as their captain this week. I've just got a feeling about United, and I've got a feeling about Liverpool. I think they'll bounce back, and City are going to get a tough game. So on balance, I'm 50-50 on who I pick. Is there anything else? Yes, just wanted to take you through some questions that we got on Twitter. Thank you to our regular viewers who ask questions on Twitter. Again, if you follow the Twitter account up there, we post before we pod every week asking for some questions. So if you want to know, want to get some advice or just my opinion on particular players, then submit a question when we request them. And also, I've got some new graphics as well. I spent a little bit of time this week working on the graphics, and I made an intro a couple of weeks ago, so I've been putting in some graph to this YouTube channel. So if you can, I'd really appreciate a like if you enjoy the new sort of features of the channel, and subscribe if you want to see some more FanTeam content. Anyway, let's get into the questions. So our good friend FPL Shenanigans asks, thoughts on going for Bazanu and Neto in goal? I think these are the two sort of 4 million keepers. Basically, it's the equivalent of Iverson and Ward in FPL. Teams that don't necessarily get clean sheets, but the keepers are likely to get saves and their budget price. Personally, I think if I were to pick a goalkeeper right now, I would either go for Guaita, Martinez or Pope, just because of their saves potential or clean sheet potential. I just think they're worth the extra money above those two 4.0 keepers. So that would be my view. I wouldn't go big in premium as a goalkeeper, but I would go for one that I thought had potential to get lots of saves, but also clean sheets. I think personally, probably Martinez up until the World Cup. If I was on wildcard right now, Martinez is probably the best keeper. He also asks, what do you think of Willian as a cheaper route into the Fulham attack? I don't know. He's going to take some of the set pieces off of Andreas, but I can't remember how old he is. But even when he was at Arsenal, he just didn't look that exciting. I think he'll play quite regularly for Fulham, but it remains to be seen as to how good he still is, whether he's still got the legs. So I think I'll be avoiding Willian. I think if you're picking a Fulham player, there's only one, and that is Mitrovic. Louis asks, what would your team look like if you were to wildcard? Now, unfortunately, Sam has wildcarded this week, but we won't be able to see it on the pod. I think what I'll do is I'll just pull up my team so you can actually see a team on screen. Like I said, I think I'd have Martinez in goal. Cancelo, Trippier, probably my defenders. I'd probably have that midfield as well, but instead of Bowen, I'd probably have Zaha. And then my third defender, we could pick anyone. Probably one of the Chelsea boys. I probably have Cucurella instead of Saliba. So let's say we go Martinez, Cancelo, Trippier, Cucurella, Salah, Maddison, Martinelli, Zaha, Tony, Mitrovic, Haaland. Then I think the bench would be somewhat the same as this. Maybe have the Southampton centre-back like Bella Kotchap, I think his name is. I'd probably have him in over Perraud because he just looks like a bit of a goal threat. So yeah, hopefully that helps you with my wildcard team. I think that's pretty much where I'd be. Thank you, Shenanigans. Hopefully that wasn't a draft, but it was at least an explanation of who I'd have. And finally, Yakubu. By the way, you guys are all regular viewers and question askers, etc. Just want to thank you all for watching the podcast and submitting questions. Really appreciate it. Yakubu asks, what is the best transfer strategy for the rest of the half-season game wildcard used? It's a really tricky one because I don't think there's a right answer to this at all. If you've already used your wildcard, I would suggest that if you're happy with your team right now, you're probably going to have a couple of Man City players and a couple of Arsenal players, maybe one or two. And with the way that price rises work in FanTeam compared to FPL, is that you keep every penny of price rises that you get. You don't lose any value in players when they go up like you do in FPL, which I really don't like about that game. But what I would suggest is that you try and bank as many transfers as you can up until that game week 11/12 point. In fact, I can just have a quick look at the fixtures. Courtesy of Ben Krellin, I always got to give him credit when I show these because it's an excellent tool to look at each team's fixtures and their difficulty. But for me, if you look at Haaland in 11 and 12, just an example, everyone pretty much has got Erling Haaland in their team and looking to captain him. But their fixtures in 11 and 12, they've got Liverpool and then a blank. Whereas, say, Kane for Tottenham has Everton and Man United. Or the likes of Chelsea got Villa and Brentford. Liverpool have got Man City and West Ham. I think there's a real case for either taking out Cancelo, replacing him with Trent. Probably, actually, on hindsight, I'd probably leave Cancelo. But Haaland, I think there's a real case to transfer him out for Kane, especially when he's got Liverpool and Kane has got Everton. I just think that's a really good chance to get off Haaland for a couple of weeks. Because, yeah, Liverpool, Man City is always... It's not usually a low-scoring game, but on paper, you think Haaland against Liverpool versus Tottenham, Kane against Everton. It's not really that close. I think Tottenham is the outstanding game to pick a captain from. So that would be what I do. If you're happy with your team for the next 2 weeks, I try and roll as many transfers as you can so that you can deal with the blank in game week 12. And another thing for me to mention after 12 as well is once those poor fixtures and blank game week go away for Arsenal, they got a really nice run. Southampton, Forest, Chelsea and Wolves up into the World Cup. I think Palace obviously got a nice run, but that's one of the nicer runs of any of the teams. So after that blank, you could look to bring back the likes of Jesus that you might have already taken out, for example, or Martinelli after the blank if you do take them out. So I think those are the key sort of points, really. I think look at taking out the Man City/Arsenal players for 11, for game week 12, Haaland for 11 when you can captain Kane, and then look to bring back those Arsenal assets for 13, 14, 15, 16. And another thing to mention about Man City as well is after the blank, they have the same. So they got Brighton, Leicester, Fulham, Brentford as their final 4 fixtures before the World Cup. So obviously you're going to want Haaland for that run, and you're probably going to captain him. But I'd also look at bringing in another defender from City as well. Maybe the likes of Diaz, or, if we have a centre-back situation where there's only 2 options, pick the cheaper one. So I think Kyle Walker's pretty cheap in FanTeam. He looks to be playing quite regularly when he's fit. Akanji, Stones, players like that, if they look to be nailed for those 4 weeks, I'd pick them. Even Diaz at a slightly higher price is going to be great value as well. So yeah, I'd look to hop back on Arsenal and City from 14, but get off them for 12. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question. I think we'll leave it there. I don't really have any more to talk about, and I won't bore you too much. That's already a quarter of an hour gone. Yeah, if you like what you saw, leave a like rating and subscribe to the channel. Like I said, tried to make some improvements to the video format. Hopefully you appreciate it, and it's a better overall experience for your eyes. And yeah, I'll catch you next week with some more FanTeam content. Hopefully Sam will be here as well. See you in a bit.